All right, let's talk about something I think we've all felt at some point. That really powerful, noble desire to, save the world. It's a great feeling, right? But what if that heroic urge isn't quite what it seems? What if it's actually masking something a little closer to home?
I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever had that feeling? That deep down urge to make a huge difference? It's a pretty powerful feeling, isn't it? You see a big problem out there and you just want to be the solution. And let's be honest, the problems we're drawn to, they're usually not the small ones.
Maybe for you, it's all about saving the animals. Or, tackling the massive, urgent cause of saving the environment. Or maybe you go for the whole shebang, saving the entire planet. I mean, these are huge, almost impossible goals, right? And the source material we're diving into today asks a really interesting question. Why? Why are we so drawn to these giant tasks?
And boom, there it is, the core idea. What if this drive to save everything isn't just about being a good person? What if it's about feeling powerful in a world that, let's face it, can make us feel pretty powerless sometimes? It's a tough idea to chew on for sure, but let's follow this train of thought.
Okay, so if we're serious about actually saving anything, where do we even start? What's the rule book for that? Well, the answer might come from a place you'd never expect.
Yep, 30,000 feet up in the air. The key insight here actually comes from that safety briefing we've all heard a million times on an airplane, the one we usually tune out. Turns out we probably should have been paying closer attention.
You know the one. In case of cabin pressure loss, put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. We all know it, right? And it's not about being selfish, it's just pure logic. You're absolutely no good to anyone else if you're passed out from lack of oxygen. It's the #1 rule of being an effective helper. You have to save yourself first.
So let's just take that simple, perfect logic and bring it back down to earth. What if we applied that same exact rule to our lives on the ground? What if before we tried to save the world, we all made sure we were okay first? You have to wonder, wouldn't the world be a much, much better place?
So why don't we? I mean, it's a good question. If the oxygen mask rule is so simple and makes so much sense, why is our first instinct usually to rush out and try to fix everything and everyone else? Why are we so busy trying to put masks on the rest of the world when we're gasping for air ourselves?
This really gets us to a core distinction. Think of it as two different paths. On one side, you've got what we can call the impossible task. Saving the world, rescuing everyone else. It's so big, so massive that failing at it is kind of expected. But then there's the other path, the task at hand. And that's all about saving yourself, helping yourself first. And according to the source we're looking at, that's where the real hard work actually is.
So what exactly is this task at hand? Well, it's the hard stuff. It's the messy, complicated, not-so-glamorous work of actually sorting out our own lives. It means facing our own problems head-on, building our own sense of stability. Basically, it's making sure our own oxygen mask is secure before we even think about doing anything else.
And this right here is the key insight. Think about it. It's actually easier to fail at something impossible. If you try to save the whole world and don't quite make it, well, he could blame you. But failing to sort out your own life? Oof, that's a much harder pill to swallow. So sometimes we choose the giant impossible mission because, in a strange way, it protects us from the much scarier possibility of failing at the one task that's right in front of us.
And that brings us right back to where we started. By taking on that impossible task and really believing we can pull it off, we create that feeling, that illusion of power. It feels good, it feels important, but it might just be a distraction from the real work. Of course, the source for all this ends with a big dose of humility. This isn't meant to be some kind of definitive rule for life, It's not a judgment, it's really just an idea, a thought experiment to mull over, something to think about. So, in the end, that's really the question for all of us, isn't it? When things get chaotic in your own life and in the big picture, which mask are you going to secure first? The one for the world or the one for yourself? The answer you come up with, well, it just might change everything.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into an idea that might it might reframe how you think about some big things, your aspirations, maybe even your daily actions. Our topic is the illusion of power, and we're drawing insights from a really compelling YouTube video transcript. It's by a creator named Raven Van.
Really insightful stuff.
Totally. So our mission today really is to explore this perspective that It kind of challenges one of our most basic human impulses,
That drive to save things.
Exactly, that drive. We're just constantly bombarded, aren't we? Save the animals, save people, save countries, save the environment.
Save the world, save the planet. The list goes on.
It really does. It's almost this universal call to action. But, like, what if this urge, this feeling that we have to do this, what if it's giving us something unexpected?
Something like an illusion.
Precisely. What if it's giving us an illusion of power? That's the core idea we want to get into.
Yeah, and that's the central concept from Raven Van, this idea that the desire itself, the act of wanting to save, might create this, well, this illusion of power.
Okay.
It's fascinating because it's not saying the intentions are bad, not at all. It's asking us to look closer at the feeling of impact versus, the actual impact.
Right, the gap between feeling good and doing good, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. So we're going to explore what that means, why it matters, and maybe how understanding it could shift how we approach things.
Yeah.
Both like personally and globally.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The video. It starts right off by focusing on this human tendency to try and save stuff. And it lists everything, like we said, from individuals right up to the whole planet. And seeing it all laid out like that, it really makes you think about the scale of it all.
Yeah, our ambition, our empathy.
But Raven Van suggests the why might be, well, more complicated than just wanting to help. There's maybe a deeper psychological thing going on.
Right, that's the hypothesis, that trying to save something bigger than ourselves, especially these huge, kind of overwhelming problems, it might be a way, maybe subconsciously, to feel like we have some control.
Ah, okay. Like grabbing onto something huge to feel significant yourself.
Exactly. It's a sense of importance in a world that often feels, well, chaotic, right, out of our control. So latching onto these massive challenges gives you that powerful sense of purpose.
And that's the illusion of power.
That's where the term comes in. It's with the feeling of agency, the feeling of making a difference. That might not perfectly match up with, the actual results.
I see.
Think about the left again.
Yeah.
Animals, people, countries, the environment, the planet. These are monumental tasks. Huge.
Yeah.
And for many, just engaging with those issues, even if your personal contribution feels tiny, it can give you a real boost.
Yeah.
Makes you feel part of something bigger.
Fulfills that need for meaning we all have.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, when it's easy to feel small. But the video doesn't just identify the problem, does it? It gives us this brilliant metaphor.
Yeah, the airplane one.
The airplane one. We've all heard it, probably half asleep sometimes. In case of cabin pressure loss, oxygen masks drop down. Secure your own mask before helping anyone else. Simple, clear.
So simple, but so profound in this context.
Why use that specific example, do you think?
Well, it's incredibly relatable, for one, but more importantly, it cuts right through the idea that focusing on yourself first is inherently selfish.
Right. In that situation, it's the opposite of selfish. It's necessary.
Exactly. It's about establishing your own capacity to help, your effectiveness. If you can't breathe, you can't help the person next to you, period.
So, connecting that back, it's about getting your own house in order first. Metaphorically speaking.
Precisely. Prioritizing your own well-being, your stability, your self-improvement before you try and tackle these huge external things. It's not selfish, it's strategic. It's about readiness.
An oxygenated individual is better equipped.
Much better equipped. And you could even argue, maybe ethically obliged to make sure they are equipped before jumping in. Build your own strength, your foundation.
So your help is actually helpful.
Yeah.
And sustainable.
Right. Not just good intentions that fizzle out or lead to burnout. Otherwise, it's like, Raven Van doesn't say this exactly, but it's like trying to fill other people's cups when yours has a hole in the bottom.
Okay, that's a really crucial distinction. Intent versus impact. It's not don't help, it's how you prepare to help effectively.
Exactly. Where you start.
But then Raven Van pushes it even further. There's this other part that's, well, it's really provocative, almost counterintuitive.
A bit about effort.
Yeah. The video suggests, quote, most likely it is easier to fail at accomplishing an impossible task than to put in the real effort to a task at hand.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That one stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
It really does, because we usually think tackling the impossible is the hardest thing, the biggest effort. What's the psychology behind that suggestion?
It's a deep insight, I think. It highlights this paradox, trying to fix these huge, maybe genuinely unsolvable by one person problems, like ending global poverty single-handedly.
Yeah.
Might actually feel easier emotionally.
Easier how?
Easier than facing the smaller, more personal, right in front of you task as hand. Sorting out your finances, fixing a strained relationship, getting healthy, making real personal changes.
Because those are harder. More confronting.
They often require sustained, focused, sometimes uncomfortable effort. The stakes are real. Failure feels very personal, and you're directly accountable. Well, it's the burden of potential actual success or failure right there in your own life.
Okay. I'm following.
But if you dedicate yourself to, say, saving the world, the sheer scale, the impossibility of doing it alone, kind of gives you a built-in excuse if you don't succeed, right?
Yeah, right. No one actually expects one person to solve world hunger.
Exactly. There's an emotional safety net. You can pour passion in, feel noble about the intention, and if the massive problem doesn't get solved, well, you haven't failed personally in the same way you would if you didn't, say, manage your own responsibilities.
So you get the good feeling, the sense of purpose.
Without the same level of personal accountability for a tangible outcome, it offers a different kind of power, the power and intention of identifying with a grand cause.
But not necessarily the power of actual measurable change in your immediate sphere.
Correct. And that feeds right back into the illusion of power. Believing that just attempting the impossible makes you powerful or effective when maybe the real power lies elsewhere. It's convincing yourself the impossible is achievable for you and finding self-worth in that conviction.
Wow. Okay. So pulling those threads together,
Right.
the impulse to save, the oxygen mask, the idea that failing at impossible tasks might be easier, it leads to a pretty sharp conclusion. Raven Van says it directly. Trying to do something impossible and thinking it is achievable must give one the illusion of power. That's a real challenge to us listening right now. Makes you question your motives, doesn't it?
Deeply. Are we really trying to make a difference? Or are we maybe chasing the feeling of making a difference? The feeling of power?
And this brings us to the core message, the takeaway from Raven Van.
Yeah, the distilled message is, it's pretty clear, and again, challenging, that the world might actually be a far better place if each of us learned to save and help ourselves first before rushing to rescue everyone and everything else.
It sounds harsh at first, maybe, like don't help others.
But that's not it, I think. It's not dismissing the desire to help, which is often admirable. It's suggesting a different sequence, a potentially more effective, more sustainable path.
Secure your own mask first.
Secure your own mask first. Build your own strength, clarity, capability. Because if you're running on empty or your own foundation is shaky, your efforts to save the world might be, well, less impactful than you hope. Maybe even inefficient.
So it's a call for like internal work. Self-mastery is the foundation for external action.
Exactly. A shift from maybe spreading yourself thin, trying to fix everything out there, to building a really strong, stable base within yourself. And then, from that place of strength, contributing meaningfully.
Okay. This has been, genuinely thought-provoking. This whole deep dive into Raven Van's idea, the illusion of power tied to our impulse to save, and that simple wisdom of the oxygen mask.
It really reframes things, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you reevaluate where your energy is going and why.
And just building on that, maybe a final thought to consider. If real power comes from effective action, tangible results, and effective action usually starts from that stable foundation, that personal oxygenation, then maybe the most powerful way to help build a better world isn't always reaching for the biggest, most impossible thing first. But maybe it's mastering the task at hand in your own life, whatever that looks like for you. Building resilience, fostering good relationships, developing your skills, finding clarity.
Those internal successes.
Yeah. Because those create the strong, authentic base. And from that base, maybe that's where the truly meaningful, sustainable, impactful contributions to the wider world can actually blossom.
That's a powerful shift. Suggests our biggest impact might start much closer to home than we think.
Could be.
So for you listening, something to ponder as you go about your day. What task at hand, maybe in your own life, are you uniquely positioned to address right now? What's your oxygen mask situation? And how might mastering that truly empower you to make a tangible difference for yourself and maybe outwards too? Where does your real agency lie?
A good question to sit with.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.